I am here to talk about my two brothers that we lost to fentanyl poisoning, 22 days apart.
It was the day before his 32nd birthday. Greg was 48.
So 3 years ago, actually 3 years, 6 months? I mean, our whole lives changed. That fast, changed.
Zach and I are 16 months apart, and Greg and I are 16 years apart. There's 7 of us. We have 5 sisters and 2 brothers. There's siblings, and then there's us. Our bonds are so close. Each one of us have a special bond together. Zach was so funny. He could talk to him about anything. He was so handsome.
He always made you laugh. That's something I miss about him so much. He struggled with drugs. I mean, I think since he was probably 13, 14, he started struggling with drugs, in and out of trouble all the time, in and out of rehab, in and out of prison. He had lots of demons he fought.
Zach and I, we grew up together. We were just a year apart, in grade even. We got along real good. We had the same friends. He was like my best friend. He wasn't just my brother. And he had a bond like with my children. He was their Uncle Zach, but he wasn't just Uncle Zach to my kids. All of his friends' kids called him Uncle Zach. Everyone loved him. When Zach was 15, him and his girlfriend had gotten pregnant, and the baby was born premature, and his name was Logan. He lived for 45 days, and they had to make the decision because he had so many things wrong that they had to make the decision to take him off life support because he wasn't going to survive. So that night when Zach got home from the hospital, I can remember getting up to go into the bathroom, and it was in the middle of the night, and Zach was sitting on the ground, and he was listening to music, and that image has been burned in my brain because I think that's the defining moment when Zach's life completely spun out of control, where he was literally going to do any drug he could. It was a real defining moment in his life, losing his baby at the age of he was 15 years old, and he had to say goodbye to his 45-day-old baby. And I think that is when things just really spun out of control for Zach. I think something that haunts me the most with Zach is that when he was found, he had went to McDonald's, and when they had found him, his food still sat on the table out there.
He actually went and ordered food, and then I'm assuming went to the bathroom to probably use, and then that's where they found him.
So what we think had happened is we think that Zach had went into the bathroom to use meth. And we think that because from what we have been able to recover from messages and stuff, that he was using meth at the time, and that was laced with fentanyl. It's just a reminder that he had plans to come out of that bathroom.
And at the time, I was helping Zach basically raise his little boy. He was supposed to get custody back of him, so I was just like this temporary person to, keep him and watch him. And I mean, now we have full custody of him, and he's 6. He's just like his daddy, though. He looks like him. He acts like him. He reminds me so much of him, which is a good thing, but sometimes I don't know, it just hits you.
He wanted nothing more than to be a good dad to Abel and to be sober. He lost.
I actually found out I had Zach's boss and one of his really good friends come to my house and tell me. I think I knew, actually, when I saw him, that something very, very bad happened.
So when I got the call that he was gone, I had just had one of the worst days of my life, and my sister Stacy had known what I was going through, something really traumatic then. Stacy had called me, and I ignored the call. And then she called again, and I knew that if she was calling me again that something was wrong. I finally answered, and she just said, Ashley. And I said, what are you going to tell me? Like, what are you going to, I'm in my car and I'm screaming, like, what are you getting ready to tell me? What are you getting ready to tell me? Because I knew that she wouldn't be calling me repeatedly if it wasn't something really, really bad. And then she just said, Zach, and I just started screaming. I knew he was gone. I loved him so much. Need him so much. He was so funny. He was.
Greg, he was special too. He was. He had actually spent a lot of time in prison, though. He had many, many struggles too.
So growing up with Greg, I always looked up to him. I thought he was so cool. Any chance I got to be around him, I wanted to be around him. I really looked up to him. I just thought he was real cool. He was living with our dad at the time. My dad was going through some health issues, and Greg was there to take care of him.
And he was supposed to come down for Zach's funeral. And I was kind of hoping he would. I would have been able to maybe see him before, and he bought something, thought it was something, and took it at our dad's house, and that's where they found him. My baby sister actually found him.
The situation gave her another reason to keep using. She's so broken from what has happened to our family. And so that was 22 days after Zach had died.
I mean, she struggled her whole life too. She was using before, of course, before she found Greg. But, I mean, I couldn't imagine finding my brother at all. She's been Narcan, I don't know, so many times just within months. Narcan. I don't know. That's a whole different story. That one's hard to talk about. So, I mean, I think she's not going to be here much longer, too, if she keeps doing what she's doing, especially losing 2 brothers to fentanyl. That's all your mind thinks about.
Every single day she chooses to do the same drug that killed both of our brothers. And we tried to get her into rehab. We've tried to get her help. It's just... So it's tragic. It doesn't seem real. When I was walking in here and I see my brothers on the banner, it's so crazy that this is my life. That these people that I talk to every day that are not here anymore. Siblings are so important. They're so important. And I loved mine so much, and my brothers are gone.
I don't even really remember what happened after. It just wasn't possible. How could we lose another brother? Like, how can that happen?
It's so painful to lose a sibling. It's like a loss you can't even describe. When you talk to that person every day, that person makes you laugh, that person listens to you, and they're not there no more. Every day there's something I want to call and tell my brothers, but I don't get to.
I mean, you say you're okay, of course. I mean, but it's a struggle. Every single day it's a struggle. Not my recovery, but just grief alone is hard. Very hard. But, I mean, you have to get through it. You have to keep moving on and living your life. So, and I try to share their stories just to spread awareness, just because everybody thinks it can't happen to them. I mean, both my brothers didn't think it would happen to them, and it did. And it can happen, you know? I like to hope and think like he didn't know what was happening, you know, ultimately just fall asleep. And I mean, that's things you think about when you lose somebody, what their last thoughts were, what was going through their brain. Did they know? I mean, he was supposed to see his little son, so we had, it was visitation, of course, and he loved his son. He did. He truly loved him, and he was supposed to see his son the next day, actually. Tried to, of course, tell their story. I mean, everybody is important. Anybody that we've lost to fentanyl, their life mattered. They were important to somebody. They were loved, they were cherished. And the world is a sadder place because they're gone.